thumbs up if you found it helpful. It really helps support the channel. Share it with your friends who are also learning English so they can benefit too. And don't forget to subscribe for more exciting lessons that will take your English to the next level. How to speak better than ever before. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you study, speaking English still feels difficult? Do you find yourself hesitating, struggling to find the right words, or worrying about making mistakes? If so, you're not alone. Many English learners face the same challenges, and it can be frustrating when you feel like your progress is slower than you expected. But here's the good news. You can improve, and it doesn't have to take years. In fact, with the right techniques, you can start seeing noticeable improvements in your fluency much faster than you think. So, what's the secret? It's not about memorizing thousands of words or mastering every complex grammar rule. Instead, it's about making small but powerful changes in the way you practice. These changes can transform the way you speak, helping you feel more confident, natural, and fluent. And today, I'm going to share those game-changing strategies with you. Stay tuned, because by the end of this lesson, you'll have the tools you need to start speaking better than ever before. Chapter 1. The Start of the Journey. Have you ever tried to speak English but felt stuck? Maybe you know a lot of words, but when it's time to speak, your mind goes blank. Or maybe you try to say something, but it doesn't sound right. You hesitate, you worry about grammar, and by the time you think of the right words, the conversation has already moved on. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. Many people feel this way when they try to speak English. But here's the good news. You can improve, and it doesn't have to take years. In fact, with the right techniques, you can start speaking more fluently right away. But before we talk about how to improve, let's ask an important question. What makes someone fluent in English? Most people think that fluent English speakers know all the words, use perfect grammar, and never make mistakes. But that's not true. Even native English speakers make mistakes. The real difference between fluent speakers and beginners is confidence. Fluent speakers believe they can communicate, even if they don't know every word. They don't freeze when they forget something. Instead, they keep going. Think about a baby learning to walk. The baby doesn't wait until they know exactly how to walk before trying. They stand up, fall down, try again, and keep improving. Speaking English is just like that. Now imagine this. You are having a conversation in English, and the words just flow. You are not thinking about grammar rules. You are not stopping to translate in your head. You are just speaking. This is fluency, and it is possible for you. The first step, build your confidence. Before you can speak fluently, you need to feel confident about speaking. If you don't feel confident, you will always hesitate. You will always feel nervous about making mistakes. But here's the truth. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Even native English speakers were not born speaking English. They practiced, made mistakes, and improved over time. You can do the same. Why confidence matters. When you are confident, you speak more instead of staying silent. You stop overthinking and let the words come naturally. You learn faster because you are not afraid of making mistakes. Every time you speak, you are not just improving your English skills, you are also building confidence. Let me share a powerful quote from Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. This is especially true for learning English. The more you speak, the more confident you become. And the more confident you become, the easier speaking English feels. A small challenge for you. I have a small challenge for you. For the next 7 days, do this. Speak English for 5 minutes every day, even if it's just to yourself. Record yourself speaking about your day, your hobbies, or your plans. If you don't know a word, try to explain it in a different way instead of stopping. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to start speaking and gain confidence. Remember, fluency is not about knowing all the words. It's about feeling comfortable using the words you already know. What's next? Now that you understand why confidence is the key to fluency, it's time to learn how to practice speaking in the right way. In the next chapter, we will talk about active listening, a technique that will help you improve your speaking faster than ever before. Chapter 2: Why listening is the key to speaking well. Many people think that speaking fluently means just talking more, but here's a secret. Before you can speak well, you must listen well. Think about how babies learn to talk. They don't start speaking right away. First, they listen to their parents and other people around them. They hear words, sentences, and the way people express ideas. Then, after months of listening, they start speaking. The same thing happens when you learn English. The more you listen, the more you learn how native speakers form sentences, how they pronounce words, and how they express ideas naturally. When you master listening, speaking becomes easier and more natural. It's like filling your brain with the right tools before you start building. Many English learners only listen passively. They play English music, watch movies, or listen to podcasts, but don't really focus. They hope that just hearing English will automatically make them better speakers. But here's the truth. Just hearing English is not enough. To improve your speaking skills, you need to practice active listening. What is active listening? Active listening means really paying attention to what you hear. You don't just let the words pass by. You focus on them, break them down, and absorb how they are used. Here's an example. When you listen to a podcast, a conversation, or a YouTube video, pay attention to how the speaker structures their sentences, short versus long sentences, how they pronounce certain words, how they express their thoughts and emotions. By noticing these details, you'll start speaking more naturally. A simple exercise to practice active listening. Try this simple exercise to improve your listening skills. 1. Choose a short audio clip, a podcast, an interview, or a YouTube video. Listen to a sentence carefully. Pause after each one. 3. Repeat what you heard. Say the sentence out loud. 4. Compare your pronunciation with the speakers. 5. Listen again and repeat until you can say the sentence fluently. This will help your brain absorb the natural rhythm of English. One of the best ways to practice active listening is through shadowing. What is shadowing? Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a speaker and immediately repeat what they say, almost like being their shadow. It's a powerful way to improve both your listening and speaking skills at the same time. How to practice shadowing. 1. Choose a podcast or story. Pick something that's not too difficult. 2. Listen carefully. Pay attention to the speaker's pronunciation. 3. Repeat immediately. Try to match their speed and intonation. How shadowing helps you. 1. Train your ears to recognize natural speech. 2. Improve your pronunciation and fluency. 3. Build confidence in speaking. One of my students, Sarah, was really shy about speaking English. She was afraid of making mistakes, so she rarely spoke at all. I introduced her to shadowing, and it changed everything for her. She started practicing by repeating sentences from podcasts. At first it was challenging, but after a few weeks, she noticed that her sentences flowed more easily. Shadowing helped her build confidence, and soon she was speaking without fear. Here's a great quote by Stephen R. Covey. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Active listening and shadowing train your brain to truly understand. And when you understand, speaking becomes much easier. A fun challenge to try to make listening practice more fun? Try this. Watch a short English video, 2 to 3 minutes. Listen to it once without subtitles. Listen again with subtitles and write down new words. Try to explain the main idea in your own words. The goal is not to understand every word, but to train your brain to focus on English naturally. What's next? Now that you know how to listen actively, it's time to learn another powerful technique. Repetition. In the next chapter, you'll discover why repeating sentences and phrases can make you a fluent speaker faster than you ever imagined. If you want to speak English fluently, you need to train your brain to use English naturally. Think about how you learned your native language as a child. You didn't study grammar rules or memorize long vocabulary lists. Instead, you heard the same words and phrases over and over until they became natural. Repetition is how your brain remembers information. The more you repeat words and phrases, the easier it becomes to say them without thinking. Let's take an example. If someone asks you, "What's your name?" you don't stop to think about grammar or vocabulary. You automatically respond. This happens because you've heard and said this sentence so many times that it feels natural. Now imagine if you could make all of your English sentences feel that natural. That's exactly what the repetition technique helps you do. Fluency is about speed, not just knowledge. Many English learners think that fluency means knowing a lot of words, but that's not true. Fluency means being able to speak quickly and easily. For example, let's say you know the word delicious. If it takes you 5 seconds to remember it when talking about food, then your conversation will feel slow and unnatural. But if you repeat the word delicious enough times in real conversations, you'll be able to use it instantly, just like a native speaker. This is why repetition is so important. It helps you recall words and sentences faster. How to use repetition to improve your speaking. 1. Repeat common phrases every day. Pick 5 simple phrases that people use often and repeat them out loud every day. For example, how are you doing? That sounds great. Can you help me with this? I'm not sure. Let me think about it. That's a good idea. Say each phrase 5 times in the morning and 5 times in the evening. At first, this may feel a little boring, but after a few days, you'll notice something amazing. These phrases will come out automatically when you speak. 2. Use the mirror technique. The mirror technique is a fun way to practice repetition and build confidence. Stand in front of a mirror. Choose a sentence. For example, today was a busy day. Say the sentence 5 times while looking at yourself. Try to use different emotions and speeds. This helps your brain get comfortable with saying English words out loud. It also improves your pronunciation and body language. 3. Combine shadowing with repetition. In Chapter 2, we talked about shadowing, where you listen to a speaker and repeat what they say immediately. Now let's take it a step further. Listen to a short audio clip from a podcast, movie, or YouTube video. Shadow the sentences. Repeat them as soon as you hear them. After shadowing, pause the audio and repeat the sentences again by yourself. By repeating these sentences multiple times, you train your brain to speak English smoothly. 4. Record yourself speaking. Recording yourself is a powerful way to track your progress. Choose a short text or paragraph. You can take one from a book, a website, or a podcast. Read it out loud and record yourself. Listen to your recording and repeat the sentences again. Compare your pronunciation with the original speaker's pronunciation. You might notice mistakes at first, but that's completely normal. The more you repeat and practice, the better you'll sound. 5. The science behind repetition. Scientists have studied how the brain remembers things. They found that we forget 50% of what we learn within an hour unless we review it. But if you repeat information multiple times over several days, your brain stores it in long-term memory. This means that if you repeat English words and sentences regularly, you will remember them forever. A real-life example. How Paul improved his fluency with repetition. One of my students, Paul, struggled with speaking fluently. He knew a lot of English words, but when he spoke, he hesitated and took too long to find the right words. I suggested that he try the repetition technique. Every day he picked 5 common phrases and repeated them 5 times each. He also practiced shadowing and recording himself. At first, it felt strange, but after 2 weeks, something amazing happened. He started speaking without hesitation. Paul didn't just learn English, he trained his brain to use English naturally, and you can do the same. A simple 7-day repetition challenge for you. Want to improve your fluency quickly? Try this 7-day repetition challenge. Day 1. Pick 5 simple phrases and repeat them 5 times each. Day 2. Watch a short video and shadow 5 sentences and listen to your progress. Day 5. Pick 5 more phrases and repeat them throughout the day. Day 6. Shadow a short audio clip and repeat the sentences by yourself. Day 7. Speak English for 5 minutes without stopping, even if you make mistakes. By the end of the week, you'll feel more comfortable and confident speaking English. Why repetition works. It makes words and sentences easier to remember. It helps you speak faster and more naturally. It trains your brain to think in English instead of translating. The more you repeat and practice, the closer you get to fluency. What's next? Now that you've learned the repetition technique, it's time to explore how to make English learning fun. In the next chapter, you'll discover creative and enjoyable ways to practice English so you stay motivated and never feel bored. Chapter 4. Speaking English should be fun, not a chore. Learning to speak English doesn't have to feel like hard work. In fact, the more fun you have while practicing, the faster you'll improve. When you enjoy the process, you'll want to practice more. And the more you practice, the better you become. Imagine this. Instead of forcing yourself to study, you look forward to your English practice. You feel excited about speaking, and you enjoy every moment of it. It's not about memorizing boring grammar rules or repeating long word lists. It's about having fun and learning naturally. But how can you make practicing English fun? The secret is to turn your practice into an activity you love. In this chapter, I'll show you some of the best techniques to make your English speaking practice exciting, creative, and enjoyable. 1. Role playing. Step into real conversations. One of the best ways to make English fun is role playing. This means acting out different situations as if you are really there. Think about everyday situations where you need to speak English. For example, ordering food at a restaurant, asking for directions in a new city, having a job interview, meeting a new friend. By acting out these situations, you are practicing real-life conversations in a low-pressure, enjoyable way. How to start role-playing. Step 1. Create a situation. Think of a common situation where you might need to speak English. This could be buying something from a store, booking a hotel, or introducing yourself at a party. Step 2. Create a dialogue. Write down a few useful sentences that you might need in that situation. For example, if you're role-playing ordering food, you might write, "Hi, I'd like a coffee, please. Can I see the menu? Do you have any vegetarian options?" Step 3. Act it out now. Pretend you are actually in that situation. Speak out loud as if you are really talking to someone. If you have a friend or a study partner, you can take turns playing different roles. If you're alone, you can talk to yourself in front of a mirror or record yourself speaking. Why role-playing works? It helps you practice real conversations. It reduces nervousness because you're practicing in a safe environment. It makes learning English feel like acting, not studying. One of my students, Anna, used to feel bored practicing English by herself. I introduced her to role-playing, and suddenly her practice sessions became exciting. She imagined herself traveling the world, meeting new people and ordering food at different restaurants, all while speaking English. Over time, her speaking skills improved without her even realizing she was studying. 2. Talk about what you love. Another way to make English fun and natural is to talk about things you love. Think about your favorite hobby, sport, movie, or book. When you talk about something that excites you, the words come more easily, and you feel motivated to keep speaking. For example, if you love cooking, describe your favorite recipes in English. If you love football, talk about your favorite team or a recent match. If you love movies, explain the plot of your favorite film in English. The key is to pick a topic you enjoy, so speaking English feels natural and engaging. A powerful quote Albert Einstein once said, "Creativity is intelligence having fun." When you practice English in a fun and creative way, you learn faster and more effectively. 3. Play speaking games. Who says language learning has to be serious? Turn English into a game. There are many fun speaking games you can play alone or with a partner. Here are some great speaking games to try. 20 questions. One person thinks of an object, e.g., a car, a banana, a dog. The other person asks yes, no questions to guess what it is. Example questions. Is it something you can eat? Is it big or small? Do we use it every day? Charades write down English words or phrases on pieces of paper. Pick one and act it out without speaking. The other person has to guess the word. Speaking challenge. Set a timer for 1 minute. Pick a random topic, e.g., my favorite vacation. Speak for 1 full minute without stopping. These games train your brain to think quickly in English, and because they're fun, you'll want to keep practicing. 4. Practice with podcasts and stories. Listening to stories and podcasts in English is a great way to improve your listening skills and give yourself something fun to talk about. How to use podcasts for speaking practice. Choose a podcast on a topic that interests you, e.g., travel, sports, technology. Listen to the episode without subtitles first. Listen again with subtitles and write down any new words. Try to summarize the podcast in your own words. One of my students, Tom, struggled with motivation. But when he started listening to podcasts about technology and travel, he found that speaking about those topics came naturally. He would listen to an episode, then practice explaining it to himself or his friends. 5. Change your environment. Sometimes, a change of scenery makes a big difference in how motivated you feel to practice English. Instead of always sitting at a desk, try practicing in different places. Go for a walk and describe what you see in English. Sit in a cafe and pretend you're ordering coffee in English. Stand in front of a mirror and practice speaking with confidence. Bringing English into your real-world environment makes it feel more practical and useful. 6. Celebrate your progress. It's important to celebrate every small win. Did you speak for 5 minutes without stopping? Did you role-play a full conversation? Did you learn 5 new phrases? Celebrate it. Recognizing your progress keeps you motivated to keep improving. A famous quote by B.F. Skinner says, "A person who feels appreciated will always do more than what is expected." This applies to yourself as well. The more you appreciate your own progress, the more motivated you'll be. Make speaking fun with role-playing and games. Talk about topics you love to stay motivated. Use podcasts and stories to learn naturally. Practice in different places to keep things fresh. Celebrate your progress to stay inspired. The more you enjoy learning English, the faster you will improve. What's next? Now that you know how to make practice fun, you might still face moments when you feel stuck or frustrated. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how to overcome speaking blocks and keep moving forward, even when it feels tough. Chapter 5. What to do when you feel stuck. So far, we've talked about how to make English practice fun with techniques like role-playing, speaking games, and podcasts. But what happens when you feel stuck? Sometimes, no matter how much you practice, the words just don't come out. You hesitate, overthink, and feel afraid of making mistakes. These speaking blocks are completely normal, and every English learner experiences them at some point. The key is to understand how to break through these blocks so you can continue improving. The good news is that there are simple strategies that can help you overcome these barriers and speak with more confidence. Step 1. Understand that making mistakes is part of learning. One of the biggest reasons people feel blocked is the fear of making mistakes. But here's something that may surprise you. Even native English speakers make mistakes all the time. The difference is, they don't stop speaking just because they made a mistake. Instead, they keep going. And that's exactly what you need to do. Every time you make a mistake, you are learning. The more you speak, the more comfortable you will become, and over time, these mistakes will become less frequent. Think about it this way. Babies don't wait until they can walk perfectly before trying. They just keep standing up, falling down, and trying again. Learning to speak English fluently is the same process. The more you try, the better you get. There's a powerful quote by Henry Ford. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Every mistake teaches you something. So instead of seeing mistakes as failures, think of them as stepping stones to fluency. 1. Overcome the fear of mistakes. Imagine you're having a conversation, and suddenly you forget a word or say something wrong. What do? Most people freeze up or stop speaking entirely. But here's what you should do instead. Keep talking. Don't stop the conversation just because of a mistake. Describe the word if you forget it. For example, if you forget the word refrigerator, you can say, the cold box where we keep food. Use body language. Gestures can help explain what you mean. The important thing is to keep communicating, even if your sentence isn't perfect. A real-life example. One of my students, Daniel, was terrified of making mistakes. Every time he tried to speak, he would freeze because he was afraid of saying something wrong. I told him, mistakes are not failures. They are opportunities to learn. So we started practicing simple conversations, and I encouraged him to keep speaking, even if he wasn't sure of the right words. At first, he still hesitated, but after a few weeks, he started speaking more freely, and those mistakes didn't bother him anymore. The more he spoke, the more confident he became. And soon, speaking English felt much easier for him. 2. Use self-talk to break through blocks. If you don't have anyone to practice with, self-talk is one of the best techniques to improve your speaking skills. What is self-talk? Self-talk is when you speak English out loud to yourself, as if you are having a conversation. You can do this while walking, cooking, or getting ready for bed. You can talk about your day or describe what you see around you. You can ask yourself questions and answer them in English. How to practice self-talk. Describe your day. Talk about what you did today or what you plan to do tomorrow. Ask yourself questions. For example, what do I want to eat for dinner? Then answer in English. Practice situations. Imagine you are ordering food at a restaurant or introducing yourself to a new friend. One of my students, Sophie, felt blocked because she didn't have a speaking partner. I introduced her to self-talk, and she started practicing every morning while getting ready. After a few weeks, Sophie noticed that her confidence had grown, and speaking English started to feel more natural. Use shadowing to push through blocks. We talked about shadowing in earlier chapters, but it's such a powerful technique that it's worth repeating. When you listen to a podcast or a story and repeat what the speaker says, you are practicing real conversation patterns without needing to create your own sentences. How to use shadowing for fluency. Start with short, simple sentences. Repeat them immediately after the speaker. Gradually work your way up to longer sentences and conversations. Shadowing trains your brain to think in English, and over time, it helps you break through speaking blocks by giving you the confidence to keep talking. Another great way to break through speaking blocks is role-playing difficult conversations. Think about situations that make you nervous, like giving directions, having a job interview, or talking about a complex topic. How to role-play these situations. 1. Pick a challenging situation, e.g., explaining your opinion on a topic. 2. Write down key phrases you might use. 3. Act out the conversation by yourself or with a friend. The more you practice these situations, the more comfortable you will feel when they happen in real life. Breaking through speaking blocks requires a positive mindset. It's easy to feel frustrated when things don't go perfectly. But remember, progress is more important than perfection. Celebrate small wins, like completing a conversation or learning a new phrase. A motivational quote Walt Disney once said, "The difference between winning and losing is most often not quitting. If you keep practicing, even when it feels difficult, you will break through your speaking blocks and become a more fluent, confident speaker." One final way to break through speaking blocks is to use English in real-life situations. Go to cafes, markets, or online language exchanges where you can practice English with real people. If you don't know any native speakers, join online language exchange programs. The more you practice in real-world settings, the easier it will be to speak naturally. Breaking through speaking blocks doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means not giving up when things feel difficult. With techniques like self-talk, shadowing, role-playing, and staying positive, you can overcome hesitation and become a more confident English speaker. Now that you've learned how to push past speaking blocks, it's time to take your fluency to the next level. In the next chapter, we'll talk about finding speaking partners and how to connect with people who can help you practice and improve your English even faster. Why speaking partners are important. By now, you've learned how to break through speaking blocks using techniques like self-talk, shadowing, and role-playing. But if you want to take your fluency to the next level, the best thing you can do is practice with real people. Speaking with others makes English feel more natural, helps you think on your feet, and builds confidence in real conversations. But what if you don't have anyone around you who speaks English? Don't worry. There are many ways to find speaking partners, both online and offline. In this chapter, I'll show you how to find the right speaking partners and make your practice sessions fun and effective. Thanks to the internet, you can now find English-speaking partners from anywhere in the world. There are many websites and apps where learners connect and practice speaking together. Tandem connects language learners from around the world for text, audio, and video conversations. Hello Talk works like a social network where you can chat with native English speakers and exchange languages. Italki allows you to find both free conversation partners and professional English teachers. Speaky, a free language exchange platform where you can meet people who want to practice English. Reddit, a forum where people find language partners and arrange speaking sessions. Facebook groups. Many language learning communities have groups where people connect and practice speaking together. How to start a conversation with a speaking partner. If you're shy or nervous, starting a conversation might feel intimidating. But don't worry. Here are a few easy ways to break the ice. Introduce yourself. Hi, my name is your name, and I'm learning English. Would you like to practice together? Ask a simple question. What's your favorite way to learn English? Talk about interests. I love watching movies. Do you have any recommendations for good English movies? Once you start chatting regularly, you'll feel more comfortable speaking and improve naturally. If you prefer in-person conversations, there are many ways to find local speaking partners. Where to find English-speaking partners near you. Join an English conversation club. Many cities have clubs where people meet to practice English together. Attend language meetups. Websites like meetup.com often have English language events. Volunteer or join a community group. Working with international organizations can give you chances to practice English. Take an English class. If there's an English course in your area, join it to meet other learners. Practice at work or school. If you work or study in an English-speaking environment, make an effort to speak English more often. The more you surround yourself with English, the faster you will improve. How to make speaking practice more effective. Once you find a speaking partner, how do you make your practice sessions useful? Here are some fun and structured ways to practice speaking with a partner. Topic of the day. Choose one topic, e.g., travel, hobbies, or movies, and have a 5-minute conversation about it. Role-playing conversations. Act out real-life situations like ordering food, making a phone call, or having a job interview. Question and answer game. Take turns asking and answering random questions. Correct each other's mistakes. Politely give feedback on grammar and pronunciation. Storytelling practice. Tell each other short stories in English to improve fluency. The goal is not to be perfect, but to have fun while learning. What if you feel nervous? It's completely normal to feel nervous when speaking with others. Here's how to overcome that fear. Start with short conversations. Even 2 to 3 minutes of speaking is a great start. Practice self-talk before the call. Talk to yourself in English to warm up. Use simple sentences. Don't try to sound too advanced. Focus on clear and natural speaking. Remember that everyone is learning. Your speaking partner is also learning, so don't be afraid of mistakes. The more you practice speaking, the easier it will become. The power of consistency. The secret to improving your English speaking skills fast is consistent practice. Try to speak English every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Make speaking a habit, just like brushing your teeth or exercising. The more you use English in your daily life, the faster you'll improve. Even 15 minutes of speaking practice a day can make a huge difference in your fluency. You have now learned some of the best techniques to speak English fluently and confidently. Let's review what you've learned. Building confidence. Fluency is not about perfection. It's about being comfortable speaking, making practice fun. Use role-playing, games, and storytelling to enjoy learning English. Breaking through speaking blocks. Overcome hesitation with self-talk, shadowing, and positive thinking. Finding speaking partners. Connect with people online or in real life to practice English naturally. Learning to speak fluently is a journey, and every small step brings you closer to success. A final motivational quote. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. Mark Twain. The more you speak, practice, and immerse yourself in English, the faster you'll achieve your fluency goals. What's next? If you found this guide helpful, I encourage you to keep practicing and exploring new ways to improve your English. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and enjoy learning English. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Share it with your friends who are also learning English. Subscribe for more exciting lessons. Your English journey continues.